Today we're going to assemble a Triumph 4-speed pre-unit gearbox. Some people have a few issues reassembling these because the Haynes manual is wrong and Triumph doesn't tell you how to do it. So I'm going to explain the easiest way I found on how to reassemble all these parts into your actual gearbox here. Firstly, we have our high gear bush, which you can see spinning on the end here with its phosphor bronze bush protruding out. That phosphor bronze bush can protrude out from 0.1 thou to 0.437 thou, so otherwise it will hit the woodruff key where the main shaft goes through. But here I have my cam plate. As you can see, there's a slight change to the later cam plate, but more importantly we need to reassemble the gearbox in the neutral position, because I've had it a few times where I've assembled it and I could go first to second but I couldn't go any further. So we're going to start with our neutral position. So this cam plate goes in to this hole just round here, and we have our plunger here which guides and persuades the cam plate to sit in a certain position. So that's going to go through here. Push the plunger down and then just push that home. Right, I've got my neutral position here lined up with my neutral position on the actual case here, so that is fine where it is. You next have to assemble your lay shaft, which has two phosphor bronze bushes and a spacer. The phosphor bronze bushes are two different sizes. You have your smaller one on this end, which goes towards the high gear, which has one slightly chamfered end on one edge, and on the other face, well, this one is longer. So you have your small one with the chamfer here, your spacer can go anyway, and your longer bush on this side. So that now goes through down here, and that's nicely sat home. Next we have our gear which goes through, and this should just locate nicely with the high gear. So they're always in contact with one another. And now if we look here, we're going to have to assemble our two gears for our lay shaft and our main shaft. We have our fork selectors which have rollers. These rollers fit in this cam plate around here, and they sit on opposite ends. So you've got to make sure when this goes in, those rollers locate in that cam plate, and this notched end go through on the casting just down there. So I'm now going to assemble this in the easiest way I know how, which is as one unit, no matter what the Haynes manual suggests. Right, I'm going to pick it up. You want to make sure these are selected correctly over the gears. You don't want it going over just one, you want to make sure it's definitely located on both gears, such as one there, and I'll just replicate this on this side. It can be a bit fiddly. Use a bit of gear oil to help keep the rollers where they should be. And first of all, you want to line up that spline of the shaft with the spline of the inside of your actual gear. So this is going to be a little bit tricky, and you might need the light with your other hand. So this is going to fit in. Like so. And then right, I'm near the spline. Alright, and that's all going well so far. And now you can see just there, I got one roller against the plate, my other roller hasn't even entered on the plate yet. And down on here where my thumb's pointing, the spline is now located on that gear. So I should just gently be able to rock and push the gears through now. Although it is still a little bit fiddly. And you should feel the forks just locate when the gears are down, and that's it. I got that reassuring clunk, which meant that both rollers have located correctly. Now what I need to do is just check from the other end that, yeah, that lines up on the selector shaft. I'm just going to give it a little bit of persuasion. Make sure it's centered in, which it is. That's fine. So you can see here both gears are located, both rollers located on the camshaft. It's still in its neutral position. And now I'm going to fit my main shaft. Main shaft going in. Lovely stuff. And then your low gear, which goes on your lay shaft, and that all fits together like so. Now what I'm going to do is I've lined up on here on the middle case 2 red lines, which is neutral from when I disassembled it. That's now going to go on. You might need a bit of persuasion with the new bearing going over the main shaft. Making sure it goes on straight. Obviously you should use a gasket, but this is just for the purposes of the video. I got my neutral mark here, so this neutral should line up when the gears on the cam plate and the gear down here has located together. Might take a bit of persuasion, but there you go. That neutral mark is lined up, the case is together. So I'm now going to fit my Allen key. Okay, so we've got our Allen bolt tightened down. The cheese head bolt that goes in below. One of those. The other cheese head that goes in. Now, just to prove the gearbox works, I'm not going to put the nut on and the kickstart gear on. I am now going to get the end case, push that together like so, and just by hand loosely run 2 nuts down, finger tight. Little start, there you go. And the other stud down here. And this is where the proof is in the pudding once I get this last cheese head in. Get my gear shifter, put it about there, and now we're going to look on top of here, and I'm just gently going to rotate the main shaft. So first gear, up 1, That's one up. Now that's gone tight because that's in drive. And now it can be a bit fiddly. Second gear. Yeah, it's gone tight again. Third gear. Yep, still moving nicely. Fourth gear. Still going well. Going back up where you got a false neutral. And then back into third. Back into second. Normally with a pre-unit Triumph it's easier to go from second to neutral. Where my main shaft is turning and my high gear bush is staying still. So that proves that that gearbox works just fine. Hopefully this will save you some time and it gives you a better idea of how the gearbox works. Just make sure your neutral and everything is lined up in the cam plate. Line up your neutrals on the gear case. And your gears and everything should all flow just as nice as they did when it left the Triumph factory. So that's it. It's a 4-speed box, and I hope this helps.